Hey, this is the Zoo Man again, and I want to talk to you today about, something other than politics. I've been on a political kick for a while, and I want to take a little bit of a break, talk to you about something a little lighter, but really something pretty significant. And it's about, today's generation, those probably 30 and under that are in the job market. And what I've experienced, and I'm sure you've experienced while you're out in the world, when you're on the phone. And I'll start with a story. My wife and I were at Panera, and we were trying to order some food off the menu. So we went up to the counter, and we spoke to the young woman that was at the counter, and we ordered a sandwich. Now, we haven't been at Panera in quite some time, so there was some new items on the menu we were unfamiliar with. So we asked the young lady, what comes on this sandwich? And she said, I don't know. It's my first day. And she just stared at us with this blank look on her face. And my wife and I just looked at each other. Okay, you don't know. What's next? Are you going to go ask somebody, or are you just going to stand there and stare at us with this blank look? And it's just that I'm just flabbergasted at, when I was young, my wife was young, you got a job. Even if it's just in fast food, you learn the menu before you started that first day, or you got training before you hit the floor. She didn't even go ask somebody. We had to tell her, can you go find out? These are things that we take for granted, that most people take for granted. If you don't know something, go find out. Here's another thing, and I know everybody's experienced this. You call somebody, you call a company. I don't care if it's Comcast, I don't care if it's your insurance company, whatever. Not only do you have to stay on hold for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I get this with my insurance company. Every month I have an issue with medicine. I call the insurance company after my 30-minute wait time before I even get somebody. They outsource all their customer service, let's say to wherever, India, Pakistan, I have no idea, Philippines, whatever. And the person doesn't even speak English well enough for me to understand a word they're saying. And I got to keep saying, excuse me, I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm sorry. And they keep repeating it. And I say, I'm sorry, I can't understand a word you're saying. So this annoys me to no end. Do these employers ever think of maybe contacting Indeed or, one of these other companies? When I first started my career, when I graduated college, I started out in management. Excuse me. And now I started out, one of my first positions was I managed housekeeping departments in major hospitals in New York City before I worked my way up to director. But one of my job duties was to hire and fire and train. Now, in housekeeping, some people considered one of the worst part of the jobs was cleaning the toilets. So that was the first thing I did, was I trained young men and women how to clean the toilets. And I always started with that, because if they could do that, then they could do most parts of the job. And that told me if they were going to stick it out or not. So especially the young men, because for some reason they thought, oh, this is beneath me or whatever. But I would start them in the toilet, and I would say, this is how you would clean a toilet. And I would show them how I would do it, and then I would make them do it. And the reason I did that is because I want to make sure they're going to do it. And then after they clean the toilet, I would then inspect their work and then say, okay, you did a good job, or hey, you missed this spot, redo it, and then I would look at it again. Now, once they're done with all the work, or they clean the entire restroom, I would inspect. Now, I would also tell them, once you clean an entire room or an entire area, the last part of your job is always inspect your own work. This is critical. With any job, I don't care if you're just cleaning your, whatever. Later on, I went on to Director of Environmental Services. I took steam plant operations classes, and I became an engineer. And so I did a lot of maintenance stuff. So we learned boilers, and I taught maintenance guys. So when they did jobs in schools and hospitals, that was complicated work. And even those guys, I said, the last part of your job is always inspect your work. Now, I'm saying this because there's also been a lot of talk recently within our military branches. They are making accommodations for females and also other people in the military to make the transition easier into the armed forces. This is another thing. Kind of boils my blood. Listen, we don't do that for sports teams, professional sports teams. In other words, we don't have a different field of play for what I would call the scrub players. We're not going to have that when we go into combat, right? We're not going to have a field of combat for soldiers. They're not ready for real combat to say, oh, we're going to have a battle with China, and those soldiers that weren't ready to assimilate with our regular military because we had to make special accommodations for them so they get to battle, fight on this battlefield because they're not regular soldiers. Come on, give me a break. It's time to wake up, America. This is the Zoo Man. Let me know your comments.